The garage buzzed with the clank of tools and the hum of engines. Mike, a skilled mechanic, tightened a bolt on an old sedan. His hands moved with precision, honed by years of fixing cars. The shop was his world, but today, something felt off. His boss, Mr. Grayson, stormed in, barking orders. Mike kept his head down, focusing on the task, unaware of the storm about to hit. Across town, Mrs. Clara, an elderly widow, shuffled down the street. Her worn coat hung loosely on her frail frame. Her car, a rusty old hatchback, had broken down again. With no money for repairs, she'd pushed it to Mike's garage. She'd heard he was kind, someone who might help. Her tired eyes scanned the shop, hoping for a miracle to keep her only means of transport alive. Mike noticed Clara standing nervously by the counter. Her hands trembled as she explained her car's issue. "It just stopped," she said softly. Mike listened, his heart sinking. He knew her story, living on a meager pension, barely scraping by. He glanced at Grayson, who was busy yelling at another employee. Mike decided to help Clara, even if it meant working for free. Under the hood, Mike found the problem, a busted alternator. It wasn't a cheap fix, but he couldn't let Clara walk away with nothing. He slipped into the stockroom, grabbing a spare part from the shelf. It was against Grayson's rules to use parts without payment, but Mike couldn't stand the thought of Clara stranded. He worked quickly, hoping his boss wouldn't notice. Clara sat in the waiting area, clutching her purse. She whispered a prayer, grateful for Mike's kindness. She'd been turned away by other shops, their prices too steep. Mike's warm smile gave her hope. She didn't know how she'd repay him, but she promised herself she'd find a way. Maybe bake him her famous apple pie. For now, she just watched him work, her heart full. Grayson's voice cut through the garage like a blade. "Mike, what's this?" He'd spotted the spare alternator box on the workbench. Mike froze, his wrench still in hand. "It's for Mrs. Clara's car," he said, voice steady. Grayson's face reddened. "You're giving away my parts. For free." Mike explained Clara's situation, but Grayson wasn't listening. His temper flared, unstoppable. "You're done, Mike," Grayson shouted. The garage went silent. Other mechanics stopped, tools hanging midair. "Pack your stuff and get out." Mike stood tall, not arguing. He knew Grayson's greed, his obsession with profit over people. Clara gasped, tears welling up. "No, please," she begged. "It's my fault." But Grayson waved her off, pointing Mike to the door. The air was thick. Mike gathered his tools, his hands steady despite the sting. He'd worked here for years, pouring his soul into every repair. Now, it was over. He glanced at Clara, who looked devastated. "I'll be fine," he told her softly, but his chest tightened. As he stepped toward the exit, a sleek black car pulled into the lot. A man in a suit stepped out, his presence commanding attention. The man approached Grayson, his face unreadable. "I'm looking for Mike," he said. Grayson, still fuming, pointed at the fired mechanic. "That's him, but he's leaving." The man raised an eyebrow. "Leaving? That's a shame. I'm Richard Holt, CEO of Holt Motors. I heard Mike's the best mechanic in town. I came to offer him a job." The garage went quiet again, all eyes on Mike. Grayson's jaw dropped. Holt Motors was a giant in the auto industry, known for luxury cars and top-tier service. Mike stood stunned, his toolbox heavy in his hand. Clara's eyes sparkled with hope. "I saw your work on a friend's car," Holt said. "Flawless. I need someone like you running my new service center." Mike's heart raced. This was a dream offer, beyond anything he'd imagined. Grayson stammered, trying to backtrack. "Mike's not fired, just a misunderstanding." But Holt's gaze was cold. "I don't work with people who mistreat talent." He turned to Mike. "What do you say? 6 figures, full benefits, and you lead the team." Mike glanced at Clara, then back at Holt. "I'm in," he said firmly. Grayson's face paled as the reality sank in. Clara clapped her hands, tears of joy replacing her earlier fear. Mike's kindness had turned his life around in seconds. He looked at Grayson, who was now sweating. "You made a mistake," Mike said calmly. "Helping people isn't a weakness." Holt nodded in agreement. "Exactly why I want you. Compassion and skill are rare." The other mechanics murmured, impressed. Grayson tried to salvage the situation. "Mike, let's talk. I'll raise your pay." But Mike shook his head. "You showed who you are." He turned to Clara, promising to finish her car before leaving. Holt offered to cover the parts, ensuring Clara's car would be fixed for free. She hugged Mike, whispering, "You're an angel." The moment felt like justice, pure and simple. As Mike packed up, his coworkers approached, shaking his hand. They'd always respected him, but now they saw his courage. Grayson stood alone, his authority crumbling. Holt handed Mike a business card. "Start Monday. Bring your tools." Mike nodded, feeling a weight lift. He'd been loyal to Grayson, but now he saw a future where his values mattered more than profit. Clara's car roared to life as Mike finished the repair. She beamed, insisting he take a small, worn photo from her purse. "My late husband," she said. "He'd have liked you." Mike tucked it away, touched. Holt watched, impressed by Mike's care. "You're exactly what my company needs," he said. Grayson, now desperate, tried to interrupt, but no one listened. His power was gone. The garage felt different as Mike walked out. His coworkers clapped, a quiet rebellion against Grayson's tyranny. Clara followed, her car purring smoothly. She promised to spread the word about Mike's kindness. Holt shook Mike's hand, sealing the deal. "You'll do great things," he said. Mike felt a surge of pride. He'd helped someone and won a future in return. Grayson slumped in his office, staring at the empty garage. His best mechanic was gone, and Holt's offer exposed his greed. Customers would hear about this, Clara would make sure of it. Mike's reputation was gold, while Grayson's was tarnished. The phone rang, a customer canceling an appointment. Grayson's regret was instant, but too late. His empire was cracking, one mistake at a time. Mike drove home, the weight of the day settling in. He'd lost a job but gained a future. Holt's offer was a lifeline, but Clara's gratitude meant more. He thought of her smile, her relief. Helping her was worth the risk. His phone buzzed, texts from coworkers, cheering him on. Word was spreading fast. Mike wasn't just a mechanic, he was a symbol of doing what's right. Clara parked her car, feeling lighter than she had in years. She called her neighbors, telling them about Mike. "He's a hero," she said, her voice strong. Word of Mike's firing and Holt's offer hit the town like wildfire. People boycotted Grayson's garage, flocking to support Mike. Clara baked that apple pie, determined to deliver it to him. Kindness, she knew, always came back. By morning, social media buzzed with Mike's story. A local blogger posted about the hero mechanic, fired for helping an elderly woman. Comments poured in, praising Mike and slamming Grayson. Holt Motors retweeted the post, announcing Mike's new role. The garage's Yelp page tanked as reviews called out Grayson's greed. Mike, still processing, felt the town's love wrap around him. Grayson sat in his empty garage, the silence deafening. No customers, no workers. His temper had cost him everything. He tried calling Mike, but the number was blocked. Desperate, he posted an apology online, but it was met with scorn. Too late, one comment read. Grayson realized he'd misjudged Mike's value, not just as a mechanic, but as a man who put people first. Mike arrived at Holt Motors on Monday, greeted by a sleek facility and a team eager to learn. Holt showed him the service center, state-of-the-art and ready for his leadership. "Build something great," Holt said. Mike nodded, already planning. He'd make this place different, fair, compassionate, like he'd always been. His old life at Grayson's felt like a distant memory. Clara stopped by Holt Motors with her pie, her smile radiant. Mike hugged her, grateful for her faith in him. She told him about the town's support, how Grayson's garage was struggling. "You showed them what matters," she said. Mike blushed, slicing the pie for the team. The sweet aroma filled the air, a small reminder of why he'd risked it all. Kindness had paved his path. Weeks later, Holt Motors Service Center thrived under Mike's lead. Customers loved his honesty, his skill. Word spread, and business boomed. Mike trained his team to prioritize care over profit, earning loyalty. Clara became a regular, her car always welcome. She told everyone about Mike, her hero. The town saw him as more than a mechanic, he was their champion. Grayson's garage, meanwhile, was a ghost town. Customers gone, employees quitting. He tried lowering prices, but trust was broken. The blogger's post had gone viral, and Grayson's name was mud. He sat alone, staring at Mike's old workbench. Regret gnawed at him. He'd fired the one person who made his business shine, all for a few dollars. The lesson was brutal, but clear. Mike's new life was busy but fulfilling. He mentored young mechanics, teaching them to fix cars and hearts. Holt praised his work, hinting at a promotion. Mike didn't need the title, he had purpose. Every time Clara visited, she brought stories of the town's pride in him. He'd become a legend, proof that doing right could change everything. His heart was full, his future bright. Clara's life improved too. With her car fixed, she could visit friends, shop, live freely. She told Mike he'd given her independence back. Her gratitude fueled him. He started a program at Holt Motors, offering free repairs to those in need. Holt backed it, seeing the goodwill it brought. Mike's kindness rippled, touching lives beyond Claris. The town rallied behind him. Grayson, desperate, tried to sell his garage. No buyers came. The stigma of his actions clung like oil. He saw Mike's face on a local news segment, praising Holt Motors' community work. Grayson's regret deepened. He'd had a gem in Mike, but his greed blinded him. Now, he was alone, his business a relic. The town had moved on, following a better man to a better future. Mike's program grew, helping dozens like Clara. Single parents, veterans, the elderly, all got free repairs. Holt Motors' reputation soared, and Mike was at its heart. He never gloated about Grayson's fall, but coworkers noticed his quiet strength. He'd turned a firing into a movement. Claris Pie became a team tradition, a symbol of why they worked with Mike. One day, a familiar face appeared at Holt Motors. Grayson, humbled, asked to speak with Mike. The garage paused, curious. Grayson apologized, his voice low. "I was wrong," he said. Mike listened, then nodded. "I hope you learn from it," he said, no malice. Grayson left, lighter but broken. Mike turned back to work, his focus on the future, not the past. He'd already won. The town's love for Mike grew. A mural went up downtown, showing a wrench and a heart, labeled, Mike's Way. Clara cried when she saw it. Mike, embarrassed, just smiled. He didn't need fame, he had purpose. Holt Motors expanded, and Mike led the charge. His team adored him, knowing he'd stand up for what was right, no matter the cost. His legacy was set. Claris visits became highlights for Mike. She brought stories, pies, and pride. "You changed my life," she'd say. Mike always deflected, saying she'd changed his. Their bond was a reminder of why he'd helped her that day. It wasn't just a car, it was her freedom, her dignity. That choice had cost him a job but gained him a future. He'd do it again in a heartbeat. Grayson's garage closed for good. The sign came down, the lot empty. He moved away, unable to face the town's judgment. Mike heard but felt no joy. He'd moved on, building something better. Holt Motors was now the go-to shop, not just for repairs but for hope. Mike's story inspired others to act with kindness, proving one good deed could spark a revolution. Years later, Mike stood at a community event, honored as a local hero. Clara, now spry with a fixed car and renewed spirit, sat in the front row. She clapped loudest as Mike spoke about compassion in work. The crowd cheered, knowing he'd earned every word. His firing seemed like a lifetime ago, a small price for the legacy he'd built. "Kindness," he said, "always wins." As the event ended, Mike looked out at the crowd. Clara waved, her smile bright. His team stood behind him, proud. Holt Motors thrived, but Mike's real victory was the lives he'd touched. Grayson's regret was a footnote, Mike's triumph was the story. He'd helped a stranger and changed a town. The wrench in his hand felt light, his heart full. The future was his, built on one selfless act.